What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the PrizePicks Picks Show. Lots of baseball today. We've got tons and tons of picks. Already posted a 6-pick play for PrizePicks in the Pick'em Discord channel. I think I'm going to have 2 Underdog 6-pick plays at least, and then a bunch of 3-pick plays over there. The 3 picks have already been posted in the Discord channel, so get yourself in there if you haven't already. FTNFantasy, super cheap now, and also, Olympic basketball is starting. So in addition to Zach's fantastic WNBA plays, we're going to get the Olympic basketball picks as well. PGA this week. We've got one of my favorite props of the entire week, I should say. It doesn't start till Thursday, is a PGA pick. So we'll talk about that one. When I have previously said, a PGA pick is at least 70% to win, I think we're something like 5 of 6 on those plays so far. This one is definitely at that level, so very, very excited to include this one in as many plays as possible. Maybe we'll even build some PGA plays specifically on here today. Maybe that'll be more of a Thursday thing. It certainly will happen on our Profi Pro show, which will come out later this afternoon. But hey, let's jump in. We've got a lot of baseball to talk about. So very first thing about today is that we've got some really strong strikeout props. So you can see here, Ryan Feltner projected for 5.33, Hayden Birdsong projected for 5.3. Both of those guys only at 4.0. And then on Underdog, they are, let me see here. Hayden Birdsong is at 4.5, but you get a multiplier with that. And then you get the same 4.0 for Feltner, no multiplier on him. And so you can see right away, let's just toss these in. 65% pretty much for both Hayden Birdsong and Ryan Feltner. So more 4.0 strikeouts for each of these guys. Love starting with the strikeouts. Again, on Underdog, Birdsong is 4.5, but you get, I think it was a 1.1x multiplier. Really strong there. And then I also love, got to type this one in. Same idea, Tarek Skubal, more 6.0 strikeouts. Just staying here in the strikeout department, we've got him projected for 7.1 Ks. This one only 58.4% to win, but remember, this is right on a number. So it's not like it's 42% likely to lose. In fact, let's show that exact thing. So if we were to switch the less than side, this becomes, let's see, only 25% likely to lose. So you're almost getting a 60% win probability with only a 25% loss probability. That's a pretty damn good one. Again, if we were using those demons like we were early in the year and we were trying to go for a 38x 6-pick play, we wouldn't want ties because then the 38x would drop all the way to 10. 25x to 10x, so be it, right? You're just moving along the PrizePicks plays. 5-pick plays are still pretty good. So I don't mind that whatsoever. So Skubal, more than 6 Ks is the third play. Really solid foundation. Skubal on Underdog is at 6.5. You get a 1.05x multiplier. Not quite as good there as it is on PrizePicks because it's only 1.05x, but that's still pretty solid for something that's almost 60% likely to hit. Skubal, been one of the best pitchers in baseball. And the matchup isn't great in terms of, Minnesota's got some power, but they do have strikeouts in their order. So very much like this one for Skubal. And then let me see real quick here. I got to answer one question real quick. Okay. So we got those 3. Really solid foundation on Underdog. That 3-pick play with that 1.1x multiplier and 1.05x multiplier becomes 6.9x instead of the standard 6. Maybe it was like 6.73x, something along those lines. Very, very strong odds for something that we have here in the tools. You can see 24.7% likely for this trio to hit. So getting fantastic expected value over on Underdog with a 3-pick play and starting a really solid foundation for our 4-pick play. And Another one, just straight from the tool, Juan Soto, 1.5 hits plus run plus RBI. When I saw that, I thought, man, who's pitching for Cincinnati? Must be someone really good. It's Graham Ashcraft, a hard-throwing righty, doesn't have a ton of movement, doesn't have a ton of off-speed. Soto has no issue with velocity. I have no idea why he's available at this number today. 2.76 projected hits plus run plus RBI for us, 66.4%. I was sure I'd go to Underdog. I'd look at this and I'd see a 0.9x. Nope. It still is just standard. 1.5 hits plus run plus RBI for one of the best hitters in baseball, one of the hottest hitters in baseball. I love this so much, 66.4%. So on Underdog, the way I'm playing it is I'm not using these guys as a 4-pick play. I'm doing 4 different 3-pick plays. So Soto, Birdsong, Skubal, Soto, Birdsong, Feltner, Soto, Skubal, Feltner, and then Birdsong, Skubal, and Feltner. 4 3-pick plays on Underdog. All of them between like 6.7 and 7x or something like that. It's really, really strong over there. And then you can build a 6-pick play with this foundation, both on Underdog and PrizePicks. But we want to do that in 2 very different ways. Let's start with PrizePicks. And I should have put Soto more than 1.5 hits plus run plus RBI for anyone who just tuned in, wasn't sure which one I was just talking about. We were talking Juan Soto. So from there, now we want to find a 6-pick play on PrizePicks. Let's start there. You guys know what we like to do. We like to find these correlated pairings on PrizePicks. They get bumped from 25x to 24x. That's no issue. The correlation is worth it. On Underdog, if you try and find a correlated pairing, it's going to drop from 25x to like 19x, 20x, something like that. So we don't want to do it there. So where are we going to go? Sean Manaea less, 16.0 outs with CJ Abrams more than 1.5 hits plus run plus RBI. I'm going to clear all of this out on the right side to make sure we see this. This is a tough one. Sean Manaea, you can see for most of the morning and still showing in the tool at 15.5 outs. This has since moved to 16.0. We only have it projected at 14.3. Couple points of note here. This is a really tough one. In the betting market, if you go to our prop shop, for example, and you search Sean Manaea, you will see that the market doesn't really like the less than play here. He's at minus 109 or minus 110 for under 15.5 outs, minus 120 and minus 125 over 15.5 outs. That's why we just saw it move from 15.5 to 16. So why do we like the under so much? The first point is I actually went in, I raised his total batters face projection from what we had as just the calculated baseline. So raised that. Still, we show Manaea. In fact, let me get this up. I'll move this to 16.0. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave it at 15.5. 70.5%. So we already say like this is super likely to go under. Why are we different than the market? Well, one of the things that we can point to as maybe explaining why we would be a little bit high here is that Washington is 3rd in baseball, or they face the 3rd fewest pitches per plate appearance. So they've got guys going up hacking. It's why they don't strike out a ton. And so there's a path for Manaea to just throw a lot of strikes early in counts and get a lot of outs. Of course, the flip side there is if he's throwing a lot of strikes early against a team that likes to swing early, they might hit him really hard and he could get knocked out of the game that way. So you do have that one explanation for maybe why we are a little bit too high on the under here. But the flip side of that is he's gone fewer than 15 and a third. So he's gone under this number in 10 of 15 starts this season. And one of the really interesting things about his starts recently is that sometimes he gets pulled not because he's faced too many hitters, not because his pitch count is in danger, because the Mets have a very strong bullpen. They've been on fire, and they're using that bullpen. So in his last start, he'd only faced 19 batters. His pitch count was in the 70s. He didn't start the 6th inning because they just wanted to turn it over the bullpen. He's also one of those guys who has pretty bad splits when you get to the 3rd time in the order, which is another reason why they tend to take him out as quick as possible oftentimes, which is why, again, like if you look at what a reasonable pitch count would be for him, you look at the total batters faced, what he could throw he's typically going to go over this number, and yet he's only done it in 5 of 15 starts because they like turning it over to the bullpen instead of letting him go deep. So once you have that in there, now we go to hits plus run plus RBI. We stay in this game, and we're now just looking for correlation. If you don't think Mania can get there, and you go CJ Abrams at the very top, we've got him projected for 2.26 hits plus run plus RBI. It's 58%, and then you get this massive 4.4 percentage point correlation bonus, which is why we get 45.5% for this pairing to hit. One final note here. So that creates a really strong 6-pick play, right? We've got that 4-player base, and now we get this pairing. So we've got a fantastic 6-pick play on PrizePicks. One thing that you can do, if you're saying, okay, I really don't want to go that against the market. Again, it has now gone to 16, so it's become even better. But honestly, I don't think that's moving the percentage that much, because the idea isn't that he can't get that deep. It's that they just don't want him to. So the difference between 15.5 and 16.5, it may be just the difference between Mania is cruising or he's not. And if he's cruising, well, he's probably going to cruise through the 6th as well. Who knows? So the 15.5 to 16 number is important, but I don't think it would change the win probability as much as this would show. So if I put in 16 here, let's see what this shows. Oh, it's the same number to go under, obviously. But the flip side, how often it loses, is going to be less likely. So it's going to be a lower number. All right, so we've got that great pairing. One thing you can do, though, check this out. If we just look at Mania, we actually have him shaded to the more than side on Ks, just a little bit, and fantasy points, which is a fairly decent edge. So typically you wouldn't see, we think he's not as likely to get to his outs number. And yet, even though he's getting that many outs, or that low of a number of outs, we still like his fantasy points. Part of that is because 23.5 is just a really low number for somebody with strikeout upside, 61.9%. So what I'm particularly interested in seeing is whether Underdog will open up a similar fantasy points number. Then you get some inverse correlation where, hey, I'm going for that 6-pick payout. I love the correlation between Mania and Abrams, but I don't love the Mania under outs on its own. If Mania gets through 5 innings, or if Mania works into the 6th inning where he's getting 16, 17 outs at least, maybe even getting through 6, the chances that he would go under this fantasy point number is crazy, crazy low. If he's getting to that outs number, you probably would have to put the fantasy point over around 80%, something like that. So if Underdog does open that up, I would absolutely love to take the over on his fantasy points on Underdog, the less than on his outs on PrizePicks, play it that way. I think that'd be a really, really sharp way to go. Another thing we can do on Underdog, in fact, let me open this up here. Share this tab instead. Let's see if they have added that. So they haven't. His 4.5 strikeouts on Underdog, also fairly intriguing. Remember, we have him at 4.29. So, in fact, let's go back to the tool for a second and let's see. I'm just going to put this in for a sec. We have his over for 4, which is the exact same over for 4.5. It's taking a second. At only 43%. Okay, so not great. 1.1x, that makes it almost viable. Not really something I want to do. The 5.5 strikeouts at 1.75x might be a little bit more intriguing there. But again, I would rather just wait and see what happens. So Underdog, you can see they moved the 15.5 over 2.9x. So again, it's we do have conflicting signals here, where I think the fact that Washington is so aggressive early in counts, the fact that they see the 3rd fewest pitches per plate appearance, don't think that's being weighed quite enough in our outs projection. But I do still think, I would probably put it at 55% to go under, something like that. Not the 70% that we have shown, 55%. But hey, if you've got 55% and 58% with that much correlation, with that pairing between Abrams and Mania, you still get a fantastic pairing. So even though I think we are too high on that under, it's still really, really strong. And again, it also just went to 16. So, if it's 55% to win, it's probably only 35% to lose, something like that. So very, very strong individual play and now a fantastic pair. And then again, on Underdog, I really like to see that fantasy point projection come in here. If it's 23.5, 25.5, that would be the fantastic. That would be a fantastic fifth pick to include. And then on the PGA side, Jordan Spieth is. Let me type in bogeys for a second. Jordan Spieth is 139th in bogey avoidance this year. He's about 36th, something like that, in birdie or better rate. The guy makes a ton of birdies and a ton of bogeys. I don't understand why he's at 1.5 when almost everybody else is at 2, or even you get some 2.5 bogeys or worse. This number is too low for him. We see something along the lines of, I want to say, let me grab this from Josh. Shout out to Josh once again. 2.56 bogeys or worse per round here at TPC Deer Run. Yes, it's a very easy golf course. There are 4.11 birdies or better per round. So easy golf course, but 2.56 bogeys is still a decent amount. So for example, like we just had Detroit Golf Club. Very similar number, 4.17 birdies or better. So 4.17 versus 4.11, almost identical. Detroit only had 2.31 bogeys or worse per round, 2.56 at TPC Deer Run. So more bogeys than you'd expect given how easy the golf course is. And Spieth, somebody who we should expect to make more bogeys than the field, is only at 1.5. So one of my absolute favorite picks of the entire week is Jordan Spieth, more than 1.5 bogeys or worse. So now we have 5 on Underdog. You can complete this in a couple ways. Number one, you can say, hey, you know what? Dallas Keuchel is pitching at Coors Field today, and that's a recipe for disaster for Keuchel. If we go here, you can see there are a couple things you can take. Personally, I like just going for the gold, saying higher than 3.5 earned runs allowed, 1.1x. If that one's a little too steep for you, you can also go to, where is it? 6.0 hits allowed, go higher there. We've got it projected at like 6.56 hits allowed, something like that. So I do like that. You can also just say, you know what, I'm going to stay in the PGA department. We just talked about how many birdies better are made per round. And one of the best birdie makers on tour, who goes from a course where putting was extremely predictive to a course where putting is not predictive, Keith Mitchell, 5.0 birdies or better, has had an ice cold putter. So this golf course could be a very, very welcoming place for him. I like the 1.1x multiplier there. And then you also get some additional bonus to the payout because now you have some inverse correlation between Mitchell and Spieth, getting this all the way up to 34.3x. So that's one of my 6-pick plays on Underdog. And then again, if we get a fantasy point pick for Minaya, I will toss Mitchell out the window. I'll toss Keuchel out the window, and we'll go with that base of 4, Skubal, Birdsong, Feltner, Soto, with Jordan Spieth, and then Sean Minaya, higher fantasy points. If we get that, again, really, really hoping we do. Let me refresh just to make sure we don't have it just yet, because that would be a fantastic 6-pick play. I would absolutely love that. And then, as I said, Zach, working on WNBA and Olympic props at the moment. Those are going to be in the Discord chat soon. So we'll see you in there. And who knows how many picks we're going to end up with today. Based on how many WNBA and Olympic picks Zach can come up with, man, we might end up with like 10 6-pick plays. Who the heck knows? But it's going to be a fun day over at FTNFantasy's Discord. And I don't know why this is not loading anymore, but okay, here we go. Maybe it wasn't loading because they were just bringing in the Minaya fantasy point prop. Not quite, but we're going to keep an eye out on that. Would love to complete the 6-pick play with Minaya. With that, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Zach will be back tomorrow, and you can bet he will have plenty of WNBA and Olympic picks to go with the MLB. Maybe I'll toss him an extra PGA player too. So we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in.